start fridge freezer. The fact that they quit in 3 years, hopefully you get more time out of it, but there's no point in doing that. That kitchen needs to be there for a number of years to come beyond the life of the span of the fridge freezer. So you do need to think about those things. It's very important to check off everything on the list and make sure that you're starting from scratch if you need to, rather than trying to accommodate something that just doesn't work. So the next thing is number 5, purpose, and this is where most people fall down. It's the biggest reason why people bring me in. It's because they just have not worked out the right way to use the spaces in the house. And they haven't established then, if you don't know the purpose of the space, you can't furnish it properly, you can't meet the needs of the family, it's no longer convenient. And the whole point of the house is to make it very convenient for the occupants of the home. Everything should be user-friendly, everything should be accessible, everything should be visual, that's meant to be visual. And on top of that, the flow between and the interrelationship between each room needs to be really good. So think very long and hard about the purpose of each space, because as I said earlier, the needs of occupants of homes are changing much more rapidly than ever before. An awful lot more people are working from home. There's so much going on now in the home, from home businesses starting up to people maybe consulting at home part-time and then working in an office the rest of the time. There's lots of people doing all sorts of things where they're using the home, or even they've dropped their gym memberships and they've now set up an exercise room at home. The home is now under more and more pressure all the time to perform more functions for us and to meet more and more needs of our everyday needs and the changing needs of our lifestyles and of all of the other occupants in the house as well. So think very hard about the purpose of the space. Do you want it to be a kitchen, dining, living space? And if so, don't commit only enough space for a kitchen and dining room, because you won't get the living space in, and it will be like you squashed a chair into the corner somewhere and you upset the entire kitchen, all for trying to squeeze in a small armchair that doesn't actually, nobody ever sits in it, and it doesn't perform a function. And there's no point in making a lovely big toilet area and a really small utility. I've come across a lot of that lately as well. The utility is backup for the kitchen. It's a really important room, so you need to commit a lot more space to it than you might think. And actually it will pay you back in time. So think very hard and long about the purpose of a space, what the intended purpose of that space is going to be now, and what you might need it for in the future. Like a lot of people are putting in a ground floor bedroom now, which they're now using as perhaps a playroom or a study for the time being, and it might actually have access to a toilet and possibly another small space for a later stage to turn it into a master suite with a walk-in wardrobe. And that's a very sensible option, because 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 of us at some stage in our lives will suffer a mobility impairment, which will mean that you may have to reside on a ground floor rather than upstairs. You may not be able to get up and down so easily, or maybe one of your elderly relatives or a parent will come and live with you, and then you need to convert that space. So you need to allow enough space and enough flexibility between spaces and how you're going to turn those spaces around, perhaps at a later time in your lives. Don't forget about guests who come to maybe eat dinner with you and be entertained by you. That's almost like another separate need in the house, isn't it? Entertaining needs really do need to be met, and you need to be able to accommodate those guests. They need to be able to come through the house, through the nice parts of the house, and end up in the right place, and be really enthralled by your company and your home whilst they're there. So that's really important. And then you've got maybe overnight visitors who might spend the night with you. So